everyone. It's Friday. So welcome to New Day, New Word. I'm Marcia Grace, your modern meditation mentor. And as we always do, today we are talking about words and how they impact our life, how we can use them in a way that brings us together rather than keeps us apart. And so I like to take a word and give it perhaps a new way of looking, a new concept to it, a new perception. So I'm big on that. That's always my big thing, is about our perception and how we can alter it if we find that it's not giving us the peace and joy that we would like in our lives. So, without further ado, let me share. We're up to the letter L today. And the word that I lit upon in my journey through my dictionary was what I think is an absolutely, really a rich word. And a very common, simple word, too. The word is labor. And I also like this word in honor of, this is Women's Month, right? International Women's Month. And so the first word that, as a woman, I can tell you, when I hear the word labor, I can remember what my labor was like giving birth to my kids. So all you women out there who have birthed a baby, you know what I'm talking about. And so that, of course, is a very common definition for the word labor. However, there are many, many more. And let me just tell you that also, let me read this here. The word actually comes from the Latin labi, L-A-B-I, which means to slip or slide. And then it kind of went from the Old French, because, you know, Latin is the derivative language of all the Romance languages. The Old French word labor, which means drudgery and toil, right? So, of course, when we think of labor, that's work, right? Labor is work. So, and it can be physical work or mental work. So we'll talk about that more in a minute. But it's hard work. It's toil. It's work that leads to you get tired when you labor, right? Labor is exhausting. You can't keep it up forever, right? It's something that will come to an end. So that's another way that we think of the word of laboring. And not only people. People are not the only things that labor to exhaustion. Machines do that too, right? And we can think of if you've ever had an old car and you're trying to get up a hill, and you really can feel like that engine is laboring to chug you up and get you to the top. So that's another way of how we think of the word labor. Some very common expressions that came to my mind, and perhaps you too, and I'd love for you to share some if you have them, if any come to mind for you. But things like when we say a labor of love, right? When you say labor of love, I'm doing this, it's a labor of love. And what are we really saying? We're saying we're doing something that is taking effort. You know, we have to put ourselves out a little bit, but we're doing it because of the people that we're doing it for, perhaps, or the cause that we're doing it for. It has meaning for us, and so we're willing to put that effort in. And then also the way we think of the word of a labor force, right? Labor force is the people who do the labor. Laborers, right? They're people who work, and they work hard, and they put in a lot of effort. It's also a political word in the sense of the Labor Party. You know, people who are laborers and or who are working people, so-called middle class. I guess in our country we call them blue-collar workers, so union people and stuff like that. They're our labor force. And another thing that came to mind for me was to talk about how we may labor to do something, that it's an effort to labor to speak the right words, to get our point across. You know, you could say something. Oh, she labored to be able to tell people about her mission. Right? Something like that. So it's an effort, right? It doesn't come easily, right? The word labor implies that idea that it doesn't come easily. So, okay, so now that we talked about all those normal, everyday kind of ways that we think of the word labor, you know me, I like to turn it around or bring it back to the individual inside of us. And so how are we laboring for our own well-being? That's my question. How are you laboring to have the joy and the peace and the calm and the creativity? You know, that's my label. Calm, creative, joyful. That's what we want to be. And how do we labor to get there? And it does take labor, right? It's not easy to be calm. I know that sounds crazy, right? It's not easy to be calm. But the funny thing is that once you get the hang of it, once you have a tool or two in your kit, you can do it. You can accomplish that. And so that's what we want to recognize, that we have that ability within us. Each and every one of us has the ability to put in the effort, really labor, do the labor, do the work, but it's going to pay off gigantically, because then we're going to be able to have what we desire. You're not going to have peace and joy just by wishing it were so, because our normal tendency as human beings is to complain, right? Find fault, blame somebody else, all the things that we tend to do in our egos, that say, oh, well, if it weren't for them, I could be happy, and so it's all about outward looking. But what it takes really is to be able to go inside and say, oh, wait a second now, I can't do that anymore. That's not working. It's not useful. It's not helpful. And so the way that I am going to find my peace, my calm, my creativity is by refusing to blame anything external to myself for what's going on for me, and to go inside and to find that guide, that internal guide that we all have, who will help me, who will tell me exactly what I need. And again, this is a form of labor, because to learn anything, to start doing anything new, let's face it, we all know this, is not easy. Especially the older we get, the more entrenched in our kind of little habits we are, and the harder it is to do something new, especially if we're not really quite sure how it works or what it's going to do for us, or how effective it's going to be, or if it really will do what I hope it will, right? So we tend to kind of veer off and say, oh, I'll try it later, maybe tomorrow, right? I call it the Scarlett O'Hara complex. I'll think about that tomorrow. But no, let's think about it today. Let's think about it right now. Let's allow ourselves to say, I'm willing to put in the labor to find my calm, my peace, my creativity, my joyfulness. I'm willing to do that because I know the benefit that it will offer me and everybody else around me. That's the great thing about that. When we do our internal work, not only does it benefit me, but it benefits everybody in my circle, everybody that I touch, everybody that lights eyes upon me. Because we are little islands of energy, and our energy goes with us wherever we go. And if our energy is loving and giving and sharing, it's just going to come and go. And each of us can find our own way. It doesn't mean everyone will display your love and creativity and so forth in different ways. That goes without saying. But you do want to find that way for yourself. And that takes the work, the labor of internal search and discovery. So I hope you enjoyed our word for today, labor. Go out and labor joyfully until I see you again. Bye-bye now.